on television too, on the big screen on the show. Her name is Jo Kim. She is a poker commentator and a professional poker player who was also injured. She was there at the World Series of Poker. Jo, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you're doing okay. How are you?
Hi guys, thanks for having me. I'm doing fine. It's been a scare. I'm still recovering from it mentally, I guess. Just the fact that there wasn't a shooting doesn't really make it any better. It's just the fact that we were all running for our lives that was the scariest part of it all. So
Mhm.
I'm very upset about the way it was handled. But my experience was a little different than most. A lot of people didn't get injuries. A lot of people were able to dash the stampede. What had happened was I'm playing a hand, and all of a sudden I hear yelling and a rumble. So I look over, and all I see is a mass hysteria. There's just all these faces with terror. Um, Everybody's sprinting my way. I've never seen anybody like I've never seen people run that fast before, and just coming my way. And first thing on my mind is what happened. I'm not even thinking there's a shooting or anything like that. And you know, next thing I know, somebody's pushing me to the ground. I can't get up. Uh, I'm not the only one. There's guys to my left, right, all on the ground. None of us can get up. And by the time I was able to get out of there, a lot, like half the room had been emptied already. People are just gone out the door. Everybody's running. It was definitely mayhem.
What is going through your mind at that point? Like, do you have any idea what is going on? Like, are people saying, "Hey, there's a shooter"? Like, what is in your mind? What is going on?
No, nobody said anything, but just the fact that, just when if you were to see this happen, it's only a matter of seconds too. But I knew right away. I mean, I don't know what the world is coming to, but you know, the only thought was there's got to be a shooter. And, it wasn't just people running, people were shoving tables, chairs. So other people were tripping on the chairs. I was really close to the door, but I was probably one of the last people to make it out the door. And I
Oh my
mean, you can only help people so much because then you'll get trampled on. So
God.
after, a few falls, basically you just want to get out of there. So
At what moment did you figure out that this was, I don't wanna use the term lie, but misinformation, and that all this happened for nothing because it was only somebody throwing a rock through a window at MGM? Like, at what point did you realize that, "Oh my god, this was all for nothing?"
um probably about an hour in, like I actually ran into the women's bathroom, which probably wasn't very smart, but when I got there, all of the stalls were locked. And in fact, there were just all guys, like men in there, in every one of those stalls. And they're just like peeking out. And then that's where I heard, there's a shooting here, there, MGM, Bellagio. I mean, nobody had a clue. And, there's kids
Yeah.
like uniting with their parents and crying. And that's when it hit me. I was thinking, wow, there's a shooter out there for a while.
Yeah, that's
And
scary. That's extremely scary. You know, when Republic, I'm going to make a horrible joke. When Republicans hear about men and women's bathrooms, I think they care more about that than an active shooter. But anyway, that's a horrible joke for another show. All right, so there's people barricading themselves in bathrooms. That's really serious stuff. I mean, if I'm in that situation, I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my God, am I in another October 1? Is this it? I'm calling my family." I would be completely freaking out and losing my you know what if I was involved in that.
yeah, I was definitely shaken. I had PTSD from it. Next day I went to eat somewhere, and they were having a birthday celebration. Somebody's like, "Oh, it's somebody's birthday," yelling out loud, and my first instinct was get out of there. Like
Mm,
it was just, and then that's when I realized, this is going to be scarred for the rest of my life.
yeah.
Th- just the fact that I actually did think that I was running for my life, but not knowing what was going on was also very scary. And what I actually thought was somebody had been shot, and that's why everybody fled. And because poker players, they'll never leave their seats, with the chips at the table, like that.
Of course. Yeah,
And
that never happens. Yeah.
yeah, but I only took one look. I didn't even look behind me after I got pushed. Everybody was trying to get out of there. Nobody took a moment to see what was actually going on.
Right.
And afterwards, I came out of the bathroom and I saw people walking back. I'm like, you guys are insane. Like, what? Do you guys know what happened? And slowly, apparently they were updating the players on Twitter. I didn't know that. But people were, slowly going back. And I know we're a bunch of sickos playing poker for life, but definitely I thought it was pretty sick that we had to go back in that room. And, 2 hours later, they told us to come back and bag our chips and then restart the next day.
And you're injured, and there's people that are injured, right? You broke your finger, you were bruised up, and they're the World Series of Poker asking people to go back a couple hours later. How do you feel about that?
Well, I didn't actually realize I was even injured because of, the
adrenaline.
Yeah, adrenaline, all the, actually I was just shaken, I mean, next day I realized I have blood pooling from blunt force trauma, people stepping on me, gashes, and not everybody got injured because they're faster than me. I had sandals on, and I'm never wearing sandals to the poker room again. That this is what it's come down to, I don't think it would have been so bad if it hadn't been for, all these recent events that's been going on, especially Mandalay Bay and then the EPT and bomb scare at Rio. It's going to be prevalent, and I feel like there should be something done about it. But these guys who actually carry out these things, they're crazy. So there's really no way about it. I don't know how it could ever be resolved, but yeah, definitely a moment of my life that I'll remember.
And something else to reflect on too, Joe, and I want to get your take. I mean, look, this wasn't a run-of-the-mill. Look, it's busy all the time in Vegas on the Strip anyway, but this wasn't like an afternoon on a Monday or a Tuesday where you don't have. It was. You're talking about the peak amount of people down on the Las Vegas Strip. It's a Saturday night on the Las Vegas Strip. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Obviously, you're at the World Series of Poker where there's, hundreds, thousands of people around there at times as well, too. And so, I mean, I think that could have also contributed to this as well, too, that you have, it's essentially, you got, thousands of people in a very congested area. And then something like this happens, that place, that time is something that it can be traumatic.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Fortunately, it was nearing the end of day one. Mm-hmm. So, we had about 2,040 entrants or so that day, but there were about 450 players left, something like that, in my section of the room. So if it had happened earlier that day, mm-hmm. I can't even imagine no. I don't think I would have made it out of there, to be honest with you. It was very hard to even get out of there, with the 400 people left in that tournament.
I want to ask you this, Joe. You had mentioned that you weren't really happy with the way things were handled. I have plenty of criticisms for the World Series of Poker. Probably we don't have enough time for me to go through the list there, but yeah, I have plenty. Jack Eiffel's a jerk. Anyway, but he's the guy that gives everybody penalties and loves to be on television. Remember, Chris? He gave me a penalty in 2009.
Isn't Jack Eichel the forward for the Golden Knights?
Huh?
Jack
no, not Jack Eiffel, not Eichel, you jerk. You look at a joke.
No, you said Jack Eichel, didn't he? I don't
well, yeah,
you said Jack Eichel.
Well, that's what he does.
If you want, we can rewind the tape and see what.
That's what he does. No, you're right. That's what he does. He's a full-time NHL player.
He's trying to. You see what he's trying to do there, no, Chuck? He's trying to flip it over on me like I made a mistake.
No. He's a full-time.
Jack Eichel.
Okay, he's a full-time NHL player, and he also is part-time working for the World Series of Poker. That definitely makes sense. Anyway, Joe, sorry about that. No, but in all seriousness, Joe, going back to your comment, how do you think the World Series of Poker could have handled this better?
I don't know if that's a question that you should be asking me. I definitely have collected different opinions on it. I've asked East Coast poker tournament floors how it should be handled. Really, there's a few factors to this event, especially because it was the closer event. So it's the very last event of the series. Um, you know, a lot of people are trying to, come back from a downswing or a negative summer, trying to earn back their profits, maybe even for the summer.
Right.
Um, so there's a lot of that. Like all those poker players, like most of them, they seemed they were happy to go back in there.
Right.
Um, I don't know. Maybe it was because just of my experience that I like couldn't believe it. I was
Yeah.
very upset about it. But majority of people were like, well, it's almost end of day one. We have to finish this. What I had noticed was that a lot of great poker players or poker players with a, healthy bankroll, they were okay with not coming back.
Right.
Uh, they were thinking more mentally soundly than
Sure.
some other poker players, who
Yeah.
were there to maybe grind it back. And I was, you know, really concerned for everybody's mental wellness because I know I was still shaking when I was going back in there, but I was really shocked. A lot of people were just kind of brushing it off and ready to get back in it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Listen, when you feel like even for a couple moments that your life might be in jeopardy, whether real or not, it's very difficult to collect yourself and then be playing for a lot of money in the World Series of Poker. So I agree with you, and I agree with a lot of the poker pros out there. I think the World Series of Poker probably should have called it a night, and they probably should have said, "Hey, we're going to come back tomorrow." I don't think that would have killed them to do that, for lack of a better term. So I certainly agree with you there. All right, well, let's try to end this thing on a positive note here. I will say this: the only bad beat that Joe Kim had, in my personal opinion, in the World Series of Poker, she had to sit next to me for a little while in the media event. That's a bad
horrible beat, awful beat,
but
no question.
Then I was replaced by Vince Vaughn. Then she got a chance to sit next to the incredible Hulk himself, Vince Vaughn. That was a fun tournament. How is your World Series? Obviously, besides this horrible event, I'm sorry you had to go through this, but how has your World Series of Poker experience gone this year so far?
I mean, my summer's been great. I don't grind as many tournaments as most of these players do. A lot of them are, they kind of get tired of it by the end of the summer. You can tell, like in the very beginning, everybody's really excited to start playing the series, and towards the end, everybody looks miserable at the tables. But I mean, I think balance is really key. I went home a couple times, came back. Cash wise, I think I only cashed 2 in the summer. That I only played about 7 tournaments.
Gotcha.
But this the World Series of Poker series really, in the deeper levels, you just have, like you guys were saying, you just definitely have to get lucky.
Yeah.
You definitely have to get cards that hold, because you can have 20 big blinds in one level, and then 40 big blinds in one level and then 20 the next. So
Right. Right.
you have a healthy stack
Yeah.
to a shove stack.
No question. You got it. You got to get dealt cards. I have to ask you this: do you think it's an advantage being a female playing in this game of poker that we love? And how annoying is it when you have creepy guys sitting next to you hitting on you? Because I'm sure that happens to you all the
Right.
time. Like me.
Right here. Don't talk about
Like Chris.
Steven.
Like if you have a creepy guy like my co-host Chris that's going to be hitting on you constantly, and you're like, dude, I'm just trying to play poker. Like, how often does that happen to you?
I mean, I do enjoy table talk, because it kind of loosens up the table. I get to get a feeling of how they would play. I mean, there's some characters at the table. I mean, at the closer, we were all having beer. I mean, I enjoy the company. Because I'm one of those that control back, or but in the first few years, I mean, I've been doing this for 13 years, but the first few years, I definitely found it annoying. I was younger too, and probably had a bigger ego back then, and I thought I was a better poker player too. Yeah, I used to wear a ring at the table just so that, I don't get bothered, but it doesn't really do anything, that doesn't stop anything.
I should give Joe a fake poker ring so she could just lie and tell everybody that I proposed to her. That would be the best thing to do. But now I'm being the
That would
creep.
be good.
So yeah, now I'm being
now
the
you
creep.
are being Chris. You slipped right
Now,
back to
of
Shapiro over
course,
here. You're the
that's
one
who I
being
am. I'm a creep. That's who I am. What am I going to do?
So Joe, are you like Brian? Do you get a hair up your backside like he does when professional poker players call themselves professional poker players after they cash in one tournament?
When they cash in that tournament, it depends on when. Have they grinded forever and then cash that one, or just cash the first one they play? I mean, those players actually disappear because they think they're the best, and then they just dust their entire bankroll. But I don't know. The professional poker player term, I feel like it only applies to like maybe taxes. You have to pay taxes on a poker player. But anybody can claim themselves to be a professional poker player, in my opinion. I mean, I do have respect for the ones that study all the time, but it's just glorified. It just got to sometimes know how to enjoy the game and play the game.
I have to ask you this, Joe, before we go. Who do you think is the biggest degenerate in poker right now? Like the biggest gambling
That's not a fair question. I don't think you should be asking me that.
Well, I'm not asking you to name like hundreds of people. Well, I'll say I think Mike Matisow is certainly up there. I like him, but I'll answer it for you. I think Mike is certainly one of them. There's a lot of guys. We don't have enough time to name all of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The list is long and distinguished.
Yes,
right?
it is.
Yes.
It is. That's for sure. Well, Joe, hey, I don't want to put you in that spot. Joe is a professional. She's not only a professional poker player and a poker commentator. So, I don't want to get her in trouble. But, Joe, I'm glad you're okay. I'm sorry that happened to you over the weekend. I truly am. But good luck at the tables, and hopefully you don't have to go through anything like this again. And I do appreciate you coming on, Joe. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate
Be safe out there.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Good to hear from you. Joe Kim, she was involved in this melee, the World Series of Poker.